Welcome you all. We have four prominent ladies now discussing the women in the enterprise architecture subject. And we have Priyanka Sharma, Director of Digital Architecture at dsm-firmenich. Hello to you.
Hello.
We have Klára Janovská, Enterprise Architect, Asahi Europe and International. And Rubi Kaur, Chief Enterprise Architect, Lloyds Banking Group. And,
Hello.
Yeah, and Dr. Adina Aldea, Senior Solution Engineer of LeanIX. And the topic is naturally the women in the enterprise area subject matter expertise. And I don't know with you, but here in Sweden, I can see that we actually see more and more women in this area. And I have a question for you, Adina. How can we encourage more women that normally, and I don't know if it's true where you are, but normally is not so much represented in this field of expertise? Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, indeed. Well, thank you for the question. I think this, maybe I can summarize a bit also what I had in my talk, because I think it's very much connected to this. I think it starts early on. It starts before women end up in the workforce, that we need to think a bit about how we can support this. So it starts from the educational programs on. I think it's a similar problem as to women in tech, that you have these very technical fields that are not as attractive for women. And if I would look from my experience also teaching in computer science programs, I think from classes of 400 or 500 students, we would be lucky if 10% would be female from that group. And it's similar also to enterprise architecture. And as I mentioned also a bit in my talk, we need to create programs that are, on the one hand, a bit more aligned to the job of an enterprise architect, so at the border between business and IT, because these types of programs also seem to be a lot more attractive for female students. And what I've seen is, from my experience, it can be around 50-50 in these classes that are also women joining. And these are perfect candidates for also joining the workforce as enterprise architects, because they learn all of the skills, all of the knowledge necessary to also progress into being an enterprise architect. So if I were to sum it up, we need to start a bit earlier. And what can we do as individuals? I think I also mentioned this before. We can think about how we can be mentors and role models for these young women, and maybe also how to get involved with giving guest lectures at universities, because they need to see us. They need to understand that this is an amazing career opportunity for women, and then maybe to inspire them to follow in our footsteps. And maybe something that I didn't mention during my talk is, if you have any questions about what it means to give a guest lecture, maybe you don't know how to get in touch with a professor at the university or so, please reach out to me. I still have quite a good network of professors. Maybe I can put you in contact with someone. And also, I can also just tell you what it means to give a guest lecture, because it can be intimidating, especially if you haven't done this before. So I think, to sum it up, I don't want to take the whole time. I think this is a good starting point.
So, for you actually being a system vendor, Adina, so how does it actually look at the LeanIX organization? How many women do you see around you when you step in the morning?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because in the morning, of course, I have my immediate team, and then we have the bigger team and the whole organization. I think at organization level, we're around 27%, which is above the average, especially for tech companies. And in my own team, actually, my manager is also a woman, which is quite nice for me as well. And in my direct team, we are with 4 women out of, I think around maybe 20 in our global team. So again, the percentage is a bit similar to this.
No, I can agree. I don't know if this is a Northern European thing, but I can relate to that because, as I said in the beginning, I see almost 100% females in the enterprise architecture in the area of, but I mean not 100%, but it's actually, I would say 50-50. It's not given. It's not given. It's only men. So that's very interesting. How does it look in the UK?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a take on?
Yeah. So firstly, thank you so much for having me. And how does it look in the UK? The question about in terms of equality and in terms of the numbers. I think if I look at, say, the banking sector, in my own area at the moment. So I'm a chief enterprise architect, and out of the chief enterprise architects, we have about 6 chief enterprise architects in charge of different portfolios. We only have 2 ladies who are chief enterprise architects who've got to the level of senior management. And when I look at the senior enterprise architects below us, I think we're running at something like 20 or 30%. But we really, really are trying to recruit as many diverse opportunities as we can, and I'm involved in that recruitment at this very moment in time. And I think, to answer your question about how can we encourage more girls to get into senior management, I think Adina paints a wonderful picture of it's definitely at entry level. We need to get more girls interested in enterprise architecture. It's great to hear that there are courses that are actually tuned into enterprise architecture. In my day in university, I did physics and computer science. There were absolutely no courses that actually talked about architecture at all. And I think it's really beholden on chief enterprise architects, on senior enterprise architects, senior leaders to really be those role models that say, this is an interesting, most exciting place to work in. It's big picture thinking. It's all about stakeholder management. It's influencing. And if you've built your way up through an entry-level enterprise architect to get further and further, your skills will change, obviously. And it's beholden to be a role model to say, we can open doors for you. We can actually network, put you in front of those senior managers, and you will learn from them. There'll be osmosis where you'll learn those skills, those soft skills, those power skills, as well as enhancing your technical skills as well. Hope that helps, Jenny.
Yeah, it does. Thank you very much, Ruby, because and it was a really good change. I have the next question is actually, are there any particular skills or qualities that you think are essential to be successful as a woman aiming into development in the field of enterprise architecture? Priyanka, do you have any input on that?
Absolutely. And first of all, thank you for having me here. This is, I think, the question that most of my people who I mentor ask me, what does it take to be an enterprise architecture? And I think it needs a perfect blend of technical expertise plus strategic thinking plus your interpersonal skills. Because first you need to have that technical background to understand what are these principles, what are these frameworks, how everything works together, what are the methodologies to work. Then it goes to, you have a vision so that you can make sure that whatever you are thinking as your technical roadmap or whatever works with your business goals and ambitions. And then when you create a roadmap and strategy, how do you sell it? You need to have the perfect network. You need to have a perfect storytelling style. You need to understand your stakeholders, not just in a professional environment, but also what is their pulse? How can you influence somebody and all of it? So I think it's a blend of couple of capabilities that you need to bring together. And then I also tell them that you cannot be now right now cannot be overwhelmed by this, that this is too much to ask for. I don't have it, right? It comes with experience. Once you try, once you face a couple of problems, maybe you will not be successful in one or second attempts, but then you will learn the art of it. It's like machine learning. You adapt yourself to the situation and all of it. So yeah, I think you have to develop as an enterprise architect. And I always say that enterprise architect is a perfect role for a woman, because it is like keeping the house together. I have to buy a house, plus I have to run my house, but I have to pay the fees, but I have to also do this, but I have to organize this as well. So how everything comes together, and we women are great at it. So I think it's a very good job for women. I really encourage them to go forward for it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Priyanka. Klára, do you have any take on skills, or do you see or have you experienced a specific skill that's been very useful for you as a woman in the enterprise architecture area?
Well, I think that if you're asking like specifically about women, then I would say like the number one thing, determination. Yeah, because the journey is really or can be quite difficult. Yeah, like I don't know what about you, or like in the UK, Sweden, I think that the market can be a little bit different and maybe more mature. But for example, in the Czech Republic, probably I'm the very first female enterprise architect. Yeah, now I know only about second lady who started to do enterprise architecture. So we are really at the very beginning in our journey. Yeah. Really now about what is your why do you want to do it? Yeah, that is something you need to always go back to, when there are some challenges on the road. And otherwise, I believe what is like really similar or the same, doesn't matter whether you are female or man, or even like what's your background or whatever, it's curiosity. And really trying to understand, how the technology looks like, how your like IT landscape looks like, how does business works, how the organization works, who is influential, who you need to influence, So really being curious about everything, and then I'm building everything on the top of this. Yeah, so being a great networker also, it's tremendously helpful. Yeah, and also, even though I don't want to like put down the technical skills, because definitely like they are very necessary. Yeah, but if you think about your like enterprise architecture journey and about the projects or programs you've been involved in, think of the experiences where the project or the program failed. Yeah, it has never failed because of technology. Yeah, because SAP for HANA or Concur or some other technology would not be able to do the job. Yeah, the programs are failing basically because there were not good like connectors. Yeah, or there were people who were not empowered to speak up at the right time. Yeah, so I really see that there is tremendous impact of the like so-called soft skills, even though I don't like using this word that much, to be honest. Yeah, because I believe that these are really very powerful skills, being a great communicator, collaborator, networker, seeing the bigger picture, being able to influence, all these qualities which women are traditional very good at. Yeah, so we just need to really build the confidence, that we can really go with these skills, and we have like everything what we need to become and be great enterprise architect. We already have everything we need.
Thank you, Klára. That was really passionate.
I am passionate enterprise architect. Thank you very much.
So absolutely. Is there anything, Adina, that you would like to add to the skill sets or something?
I don't think I would add per se something, because I think Klára did an amazing job with that. Yeah, it's always difficult. I think there's also a comment in chat about this, that you also need to prove yourself. Even though you might have these skills, you need to work harder. And I think that also goes back to being resilient. I think that's what also you were referring to, Klára, that you might have the right skills, but you need to prove yourself even more and more that you actually deserve to be sometimes in the room to have these discussions, and that you're opinions and views on things actually have weight. Let's just say that.
I think if I can just jump in there, resilience is the key one I was going to add in as well, being resilient, because all businesses have so much change going in. So you need to be resilient on that footing, but you also need to be resilient as a woman in the business as well. There will be knockbacks, there will be areas where you don't feel confident, you don't have that confidence to speak out, to do things. So the resilience definitely comes in. The other one I throw in is to be empathetic to your stakeholders, really understand their point of view. It's easy to say, no, this won't happen, this is the architecture, but really understand their viewpoint, and empathy is a huge one. And the other thing is more leadership. It's about being humble as well. Really understanding that you're there for a reason. And if you can help, and it goes back to the mentoring and the coaching and the sponsorship, people warm to you and trust you so much more than if you've got those very human traits within you and you amplify them in the work that you do. And I think someone said that you have to prove yourself, but your work will speak for you. The way you approached yourself, and it's very much to your point, Klára, of the why. Why do you do what you do? There is a passion to what you do, and you want to see these enterprise architectures come alive, and you're there as the custodian to make it come alive.
Amazing.
So I'm going to change. Not a little bit of a topic. What do you see? I'm actually now we're here and we're talking about women and the women's place in this area of expertise. But and this comes, I don't remember from whom or which from it came from, but what could men do to support women in this journey? Because and continue, as there might be a lot of men who generally might want to support but not sure how they could act or do that in a good way. I'm not really a person that would put actually a woman and a man like this, but we should be proud and so for what we are. But what would you say about that, Ruby?
So men can be and will be great allies to us. We cannot go this alone. I started off the Women in Tech network in Vodafone, and we've recently started a Women in Architecture group at Lloyds, and I've been overwhelmed by the number of people that say they want to start and be part of that uprising of that network. But with what I found in the Women in Tech network was I did not want it to be a talking shop of just women. Okay, we solve nothing if we just keep ourselves to ourselves, and it's just an echo chamber of our own issues and our own problems. So I approached a few guys to come and join in the network, and thinking they'd say, "No, it's not for us. Look at your title; it says Women in Technology, not for us. Thank you." I was overwhelmed. I had so many guys that said, "Yes, we want to be part of it. We want to be part of the conversation because we are part of the problem of why you need to set up these networks, because of gender stereotyping in the workplace, because of the habits, the behaviors that by no fault of anyone, no one has said that we only want guys in this technology domain. So men will be advocates. They will go out. They will speak for us. They will say that behavior is wrong and we have to have them on side. And I think allies, there is a great network of allies out there. The guys are out there. They want to help. And I think that's how you do it. You open your networks out to say, I wish we had a guy on this panel. That's what the first thing I'm going to say.
Exactly my thought.
So that's how I would start the ball rolling on that, Jenny.
Yeah, well, that's good. Good. Moving on to Priyanka. Given what Ruby said, what's your take on how could men support?
We have a long list of things what can men do to support us, not only in here but elsewhere as well. So I think the first thing is that they should drop the biases, and I'm not saying everybody has that, but it is just inherent. If you in my team of 22 people, we are only 2 architects, and I'm the enterprise architect. I have another solution architect, and we are only 2 ladies and a group of men, and they start going off subject and suddenly realizing, oh, we should not talk about that. And I'm saying, saying, why do you stop talking about certain things because you have women in the team? When they go out for beer, I say, you have to ask me like you ask anybody else. If I say no 5 times, then you stop asking me that you would do to a man as well. Huh? So you have to drop these biases and stop thinking about men and women. We are all people doing our job, and we should just be that, right? Instead of thinking about the gender and everything. Also, when this bias also goes in the interview process and promotion and all of it, and our senior management should be very, very cautious about it, right? When you should give a position to a person who deserve it, rather than whether it is a male or female. So I think if your men would be a little bit conscious about what they are doing and think before or think out of their conscious, unconscious mind, unconscious biases, I think that would really help us.
Thank you for that. So I have another question. So looking ahead, what do you hope to see in terms of progress and change regarding diversity and equality in the field of enterprise architecture? Klára, Janovská, do you have any take? Interesting.
Well, obviously more diversity in enterprise architecture teams, So I think that when I've seen like the last figures, I've seen that 12.3% of female enterprise architects within the population. So to really grow this population, and if I can a little bit like go back to your last question, the way is really to open these discussions with men, and really include them in the conversations, because if you are privileged, then you don't know about this, the privilege is invisible. So to really include them in the conversation, make them aware, it's the very first step, And then I believe there were also great remarks about the recruitment process. And I was thinking like back about my experiences, from last years, and really sometimes there were men only asking first like only men, and second like only asking questions related to technology. And I am, for example, personally not a person who likes technology for technology itself. I love to solving things. I love to connect with people. I love to talk with people. And to achieve my goal, I always learn what I need. So I have also learned, for example, some coding or some other things, because I needed it to achieve my goal. So to really make sure that there's support system where these qualities will be acknowledged. So it's really about working on the entire environment, where female or women will be able to feel the sense of belonging. That is what would be incredible, because once really the environment will be ready, then women will enter these positions. Because there will be already the way for them.
Yes. Thank you very much for that. I just got a question just popped into my mind, and I have to ask. We're talking about creating an environment, and I was thinking about immediate blockers, and I don't know how it works. And naturally, it's different from different companies and size of companies, but there is, and it's not only about enterprise architecture, but when you are recruiting, the people that are recruiting, maybe they can hold biases as well. I mean, if you're not recruiting yourself, you will leave that to another person. How do you see that? I mean, I'm talking about immediate blockers that we have to deal with in order to make it open. And naturally, I also understand saying that question doesn't only have to do with enterprise architecture. It has to do with women in tech as well. So, what's your experience? are you recruiting yourself, or are you handing it off to an intermediate HR partner, or outsource it?
Yeah, I can answer that because I'm in the midst of recruiting at the moment, enterprise architects. So we have a CTO function that does the recruitment, of which they call upon enterprise architects, chief enterprise architects, senior enterprise architects to help with the lower grade entry architects that we want to bring in. So the first thing that they're doing is making sure that the advert that goes out has gone through a bit of AI, and we're using something I'm not supposed to advertise here, but Textio, I think we're using it. It's making sure that there's no gender bias in the actual advert that goes on. Because usually in my day, when you saw an advert, I would look at it and go, oh dear, I can only do about 5 of those things they're asking me to do. I won't apply. Okay. The same guy, same enterprise architect would look at that job advert and go, I think I can do about 4, I'll apply. Okay, so immediately, because the language was probably talking to him as well. It was very gung-ho, do this, build this, nothing collaborative, nothing about teamwork. Okay, so that's the first thing you have to get over is the job advert. It has to be appealing to all sections of society. And the next thing is when we get to the actual interviews, so what we are doing, we are ensuring that we have male and female on the interview panel straight away, no matter if it's a guy being interviewed or if it's a lady being interviewed. We're basically ensuring that we've got 50-50 representation always on that. And we've had to pull out ladies from other parts of the business to make sure that they are listening in and attuning to different points of view, that if it had been an all-male panel, that could have happened. Because what we don't want to see is what they call, and I think they call it the halo effect. This is where you recruit in your own light, because you're seeing someone very similar to mirroring you. You say, I can get on with this person. That is me. I will recruit them. But that's not what we're about. We're about diversity. We're about inclusion, different viewpoints, a celebration of different people from different places coming together and producing those most amazing solutions and products and services.
I get. That's really nice to hear.
That is in fact fantastic, Rubi, because I would take that point and I make sure that one woman is in the panel while doing the recruitment, because whether it is in the team, she's in the team or not, but just being a female in the interview panel would help. That's a great tip.
Yeah, that's a good one. I personally tend to, when I've done recruitment, I really tend to get involved, and I'm actually not looking for a person like me, because then we're not going to go. I mean, nothing going to happen, because I need a challenge. I need to be challenged. I need to have discussions. So it's I'm trying to get as much as I can involved indirectly in recruiting, even if it's a larger company that I will represent.
If I can I add one just personal experience. I believe that the first thing, because many of you have already shared the word like unconscious biases, and it's important to understand that we all have them. Even though we are really working on ourselves, we still all have them. So I think that the key is to be open, and to really not to judge, but really be open-minded and be inclusive for the new experiences. For example, I have worked with an enterprise architect who was blind. And until now, like he's my very good friend. And to be very honest, even though like really I'm person like coming from multicultural, and everything, when we heard that he's joining our team, we were really like looking at each other, and we were thinking like, but how he will be able to do this job, because from our experience, the enterprise architecture is a lot about visualizations. Sometimes you need to create some like PowerPoint presentation if you go like in front of the business, right, to convey some message, etc. So this was our way of thinking. Yeah. And really working with this colleague, like really opened my eyes that there can be like completely different way how you approach enterprise architecture. And it can be so nourishing, really, and so much value added. Yeah.
Oh, really, really good story. Thank you. That's a good one. Good one. I'm actually running to my end of my questions. So I will start. We'll try finish this off, even though it's really, really fun here to discuss with you. If there is one advice you would give to a young woman that would consider entering the field of enterprise architect, what would you say, Adina?
That's a tough question. I would say maybe don't get discouraged. It might be a bit tough in the beginning, especially since you might be the only one on your team. But it is really worth it. Enterprise architecture, it's a wonderful career. You get to work on so many amazing projects and on changes that actually matter and have a huge impact on your colleagues, on yourself, on your customers. So even though it might seem challenging and it might seem tough and discouraging in the beginning, sometimes just persist and yeah, just don't be discouraged. It's really worth it, I would say. I have never worked exactly as an enterprise architect, so maybe I cannot fully state this, but I have worked with a lot of enterprise architects and I have seen a lot of people grow in this profession. And yeah, maybe that's what I would say as an advice.
Thank you. Priyanka?
Yeah, what I would say is explore your interest first, because enterprise architecture is also vast, right? So like Carla said, it is not only technology, it is business, it is system, it is data, it is AI. You can really explore the field, what is really you are interested in, and then invest in the education, right? So you have to keep on learning. You have to learn frameworks. You have to keep building your expertise, because you then have to basically influence your stakeholders. So you should have confidence that I know my subject best and I am up to date with the field. So investing in education and learning would be the key for me.
Thank you. Ruby, do you have anything?
Yeah, I have a couple of things, okay, I'd advise. The first thing is stay curious in life. Always look out for opportunities, stay curious. And the other bit of advice is understand your why. If you want to do enterprise architecture, understand your personal why, what drives you and what passions you have towards that area. And also I'd give them some advice, which is to read the fantastic book, which is called Invisible Women, which you may have all read by Carolina Criado Perez. And in that book, as we know, it's a game changer. It says across every industry, every profession, where women's voices have not been there, the technology that's been produced has left them out, the products that we build. And that is my why. Why do I come into enterprise architecture? Because if I didn't, if we look at the products and services, they're used by all of society, 50% men, 50% women. And there are those differences, like, for example, if you build mobile phones that get to be so big that they can't fit into female hands, or if you've got body armor that's only built for men's bodies, or crash dummies, as we're told in cars. If women's voices had not been there, then women would die as a consequence. So that's my why I come into enterprise architecture, because the end products have left women's voices out at the very start. So women should be there at the very concept stages, the design stages, the enterprise architecture stage, the testing and the deployment stages. So my advice is understand why, understand your why, and dovetail that into reading the Invisible Women book.
Thank you for that advice. I haven't read it. I would definitely pick it up. So Klára, do you have any advice before I will ask people to start asking a question if they have something? Would you finish off with good advice?
Mhm. Well, I think that I can only echo what has been already said, yeah, because I think that there are all like amazing advices. So really, I would start with the why. I have also like made a note about it because also as I'm like a life coach, I'm seeing that really a lot of people started some career not from a good motivation. Yeah. So really understand who you are. What do you think, and what do you want your reality to be? What are your strengths? Yeah. Really, how you want to like live your life, how you are envisioning it. Yeah. So to really go a little bit like inner yourself to meet yourself. Yeah. And once you really build confidence that this is the right path for you, then I would assess my skills and I would start my development plan. And it's really important to own your development plan. Yeah. Because you need to, in enterprise architecture, you need to really learn every day. And then another advice would be to seek some mentor or sponsor for you, because really the enterprise architecture is still quite exclusive job, I would say. Yeah, and it can be really difficult, maybe from the first time, yeah, to really meet some enterprise architect and be able to spend some time with him or her. So find your mentor, somebody who will really speak for you, and encourage you, and join communities. Yeah, I'm, for example, part of VIA, Women in Architecture, and that's really amazing space where people can grow and share and collaborate and learn. So.
Thank you, Klára. So those were the questions I actually had for this panel. Do we have any question for the listeners? So please feel free to add it in the chat so I could bring it up. See if there's someone. I'm going to scroll up and see if there is any. Let's see here. Maybe I have something. Maybe.
I think there's some great comments about, thank you to everyone for the comments. I think there's some great comments about, I guess it's a great statement of inspiring the next generation.
Yeah.
And that really speaks to being role models, really speaks to about being there to mentor and to coach people. I think that's what we should all do. No matter how far you get in your career, it is, as I said at the start, beholden on us to be able to pull I think they call it send the elevator back down. Send the elevator back down so people can get in the elevator, get off at the floors that they need, but they're rising all the time. And I like that. Send the elevator, inspire the next generation.
Yeah. I can personally only reflect. I was going to be personal now. I have 2 daughters, and they are studying at the technical senior high, because in Sweden you can choose at the senior high the field that you're going to go into. So in a class of 30, there are only 5 young women. So I think that even if I say to you that in Sweden I see a lot of women in the area of architecture, or any actually solution architecture and information and data architectures, I have a lot of women around me, but still in the senior high in Sweden, and I could just, I don't know if that's representative, but I have 2 young daughters, and they are like 5 women in the class of technical senior high. It's
It's an interesting point, because we do know in the UK, and I think in the West as well, that you do have a dropout rate. That's something we didn't cover. There is a high dropout, unfortunately, of more senior women or ladies not getting into senior positions because they've already dropped out. So what we need to see are better HR policies, better flexible working. Women are always the primary caregiver. And if the environment, we talked about this earlier, if the environment isn't there that is conducive to their ways of working, then you will see that dropout rate. I don't go into being a senior leader with the idea that I'm going to be exactly like Peter, exactly like John, Jan, whoever. I go in with a different mindset and a different capability. You're not going to get a carbon cookie cutout of what they've seen before. And I think that's a mindset shift that from leaders need to understand, and we need those practices and policies around us to actually help that happen.
Yeah, and actually it is a catch-22 situation. We need more diversity in the leadership to get more diversity into the leadership, right? Because that is exactly when leadership will understand that this is not something out of the blue, because as rightly mentioned, most of the women leave at mid-management because they say now it's getting too much, and I definitely can't do that. And if you have more role models, you have more women and more diversity on your senior leadership, the culture will change eventually.
I absolutely love this. So this is about like when you already enter the profession, like right, how you sustain it. And I would like to go back here, like to the sponsorship and mentorship. Yeah, because probably think about your working journey until now. Yeah, we are always entering a great organization, but we are leaving bad managers. Yeah. So if you will have a great mentor or sponsor at your work,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I can only double down on that. I think I also mentioned a bit in my presentation. The person who launched my career with enterprise architecture was my mentor and my role model. And she did a lot of great things and helped me navigate this world. So I can only double down on that, how important it is to have a good mentor and role model.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Well, and that said, I don't have any more questions. We've been going on for almost 45 minutes. I don't know if we should, if you want to continue, if you have any topics. I'm not really sure how much time we have left.
I think if we have time, then there are a couple of questions now in the chat, but not sure if you have time.
I've had a couple of questions in. I think looking in the event chat rather than the session chat. So I just wanted to come in and I can ask them to all of you. So we'll go with one that I'm looking at here, which is, can you go from a less technical, no development experience role to a business architect?
Yeah, absolutely. Because yes, maybe I will answer. I would say absolutely so. I mean, it's not. Enterprise architecture or architecture is not really 100% technical stuff. It's a lot about understanding the business and the business goal and listen to the critical capabilities that the company has, and by so creating the roadmap. It doesn't. You don't need to be a coder to jump on the enterprise architecture role.
Maybe we can showcase this if we share like where we started. Yes. So I was a data specialist, for example. That was my very, very beginning. Rubi or Priyanka, what was your start of the journey?
I was a humble person who worked in test and integration. So testing, I wasn't coding, I was testing systems at the very start of my career. And then went on to design, and then solution design, and then to solutions architecture, and then to enterprise architecture, and then to chief enterprise architect. That was my career path.
For me, I shared it in the previous session of mine that I started from a coding background, but eventually I started seeing everything around. I say, why only coding? Why don't I, see and look what happens when I code? How is it helping somebody, right? So I eventually moved to understand how my coding helps the end user. And then eventually I moved into the business architecture and enterprise architecture. So all skills are required. It is just, where you stem from, but you can actually navigate the whole space from wherever you're coming from.
I had an opportunity to create a team. And I say that the most awesome magic happened in that team where I had no tech and tech people coming together to create a roadmap for a specific change that we needed to have. And that was an awesome experience because you need both.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we have now hit past, so we've hit the end of the session. But I just want to say a very, very big thank you for all the questions that have come in. If we haven't managed to get to them, please feel free to reach out to the panelists directly, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy to give you their thoughts on those as well. Yeah, a super inspiring session. So really, really hope that you've all enjoyed it as much as we did watching it. So yeah, a very big thank you to all of you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great day.